Welcome back to the Playdate by Freshly Picked. I'm your host, Kaitlin Hansen, and today I am joined by my cute friend and neighbor, Elizabeth Moore. Welcome.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. So since this is Elizabeth's first time on the podcast, I thought it would be great to just have you introduce yourself a little bit. Tell our listeners just a little bit about you.
Okay, well, I am Elizabeth, and I'm a mom of two. I have a, almost 6-year-old in kindergarten and an almost 2-year-old.
That's wild.
Yes, I know, it's insane. I'm excited, though.
Yeah.
I love all their stages and seeing them grow up a little bit. I love to sing. I'm in a community choir, and I take private voice lessons, and it's one of my favorite things that I do. It makes me feel like a human being, not just a
Yes.
mom.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah. So that's, I think, one of my favorite things. And then I feel like, especially just this year, like this after the new year, I felt really like called to creativity, kind of. Like
Yeah.
I just want to be crafting or drawing, or I'm getting into bullet journaling.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I just want to like design things and yeah, so we'll see where that goes. But
That's
I have
fun.
some big, my craft project ideas
Oh
for
my
the
gosh.
year.
Well, let's craft.
Yes, please.
I love to craft.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Especially we're next door neighbors.
Yes.
And it's so fun. Our kids are like very similar in age.
Very.
Yeah, because when is his birthday?
March.
March. Okay.
Yeah.
So Liv and we're like a month apart.
Yeah, they're really close.
And then Nora will be 3, and then
yeah.
But they love each other, so it's super fun. Well, today we are going to have you share one of your birth stories.
Okay.
Which one do you want to share?
I will probably talk about my first, which was, I feel like there's more to tell there.
Yeah.
It's just it's a more interesting story.
Okay. Yay. Well, I'm so excited. So I always say, like, let's start from the beginning, but like not the beginning, but tell me just a little bit about your pregnancy. Like, were you sick? Were you feeling good?
I was really sick. I got sick with both my pregnancies. It was just like super constant nausea from like 6 weeks to 6 months.
Oh my gosh. That's a long time.
It was a really long time. And I was so hesitant with my first pregnancy to take any kind of meds.
Of course. Yeah. Yep.
I was worried about everything and trying to, follow all the rules. And so there was a couple months that I just kind of suffered through it before I finally talked to my provider about, could I maybe take something?
Yeah.
And that helped a ton. So once I got on some of the anti-nausea medication, it got better. But I remember those first few months, there would be days where I just couldn't do anything.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And my coping mechanism was to sit in my bed and watch planes pass out the window. I would just sit and watch planes, especially at night. If I couldn't sleep, we got to the point where I was just leaving the shades open at night.
Yeah.
Because I'd just sit up and I'd just watch for those lights crossing the sky because that's all I could do.
Yeah, you're like, that's calming. It works.
Yeah, it was like the thing that would kind of center me again, and everything else made me feel sick. Watching shows or reading books would make me feel sick.
Yeah.
So it was pretty miserable for
oh my
a while.
Gosh, yeah.
But thankfully, I only had to take care of myself. And I think I was still working. I don't remember if I was working part-time or full-time at that point, but I was working as a sign language interpreter.
Uh-huh.
And so, sometimes you just gotta get up and go.
Oh, just power on through.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so sick. Were you sick with too?
Yeah, so I got sick with, again, like right around 6 weeks. It was like,
oh my gosh,
you take your pregnancy test
and
and then
it's like
sick.
Yay!
Yeah. Hooray!
You're
I'm
like,
about
yep,
to be sick.
No, I'm pregnant.
Mm-hmm. But with her, I was so much more relaxed. I was like, sweet, get me on the meds right now.
Exactly. You're like, I know this is not my first rodeo.
Yeah. I was like, I know I'm gonna need to be able to function, and it's so different with your second one, where I was like, I have to take care of a 3-year-old.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's I don't know how moms of multiples do it. And I had a pretty big gap between my kids. There was about 4 years between them. And so just shout out and props to all the
Oh my
moms who
gosh,
have
seriously.
like littles when they're pregnant. I'm respect, all the respect.
Oh yeah. No, I always look at people, I'm like, I can't. So I'm like, I applaud you.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about like a few weeks leading up to the birth.
Okay, so was late. And we were taking a birth class, which I
Mhm.
think made the biggest difference for me in my first pregnancy. I highly recommend it to anybody
I did a
because,
birth class too with Liv.
yeah, because I feel like birth education is just so lacking.
Oh, I like knew nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So we took a class. We had like researched a few different types of classes, and we ended up going with a Bradley method
Okay,
class,
yeah.
which basically is just very educational and then sort of is training your partner to be your doula, to be your advocate
Mhm.
during your birth. And so that was really nice because my husband, Jared, really wanted to be involved. He wanted to be supportive and be involved. And we found a great class. And I think it made it easier for me to wait out my pregnancy
Yeah.
because you get to the end and it's like, oh, please, baby.
Oh, I was miserable. I was
Yeah.
9 days overdue with Liv.
I was 8 with,
Yeah.
and I was just determined to wait it out.
Yeah.
But I think it made it easier because we were taking this class and we had joined it a little bit late.
Okay.
And so we actually had the last class was the night that I started having contractions.
Oh my gosh, then meant to be.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I sort of had that to look forward to of like, well, I've got the next class anyway. So if baby comes, that's fine. And if he's a little later, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was really fun. We were in our last birth class, which was like practicing for contractions.
Yeah.
And I was like, no need to practice.
Yeah, you're like, they're here.
Yeah.
Hands on.
Yeah, it was fun. But we had a really good group of people in that class too, which I feel like having a community when you're about to give birth or
Yeah.
right after birth, like we really lucked out. We had 7 couples in that class and we all were so close by the end of it that we
Cute,
stayed
so
in touch for
fun.
the next couple years.
Cute. I
Yeah.
love that.
And so it was like this built-in support group of moms and dads who were in the exact same stage as us.
Yeah.
So that really, really helped things too.
Okay, that's so fun. So you did go into labor by yourself though.
I did.
That's great.
Yeah. So it was 8 days past my due date, and labor started kind of in the evening. I started timing my contractions in class,
Love.
and everyone was so excited, which was really nice. But just kind of early labor contractions were manageable, pretty far apart. And so we went home and had a late night bowl of cereal.
Love.
So I would have some energy and then we went to bed, which I lasted about 3 hours of being able to sleep.
Yeah.
So I think by about 1 or 2 a.m., I was up with contractions that were just big
Brutal.
enough. Yep, big enough that I couldn't sleep through them anymore. And I think we had like a birthing ball in our room,
Okay,
So I was
nice.
just kind of chilling on that. And I tried to give Jared a little extra sleep. So I think I let him go for about 1 more hour before I was like, nope, I need your
Yeah.
support.
Yes.
Time for you to wake up. So it was good though. It was still, I felt like things were pretty manageable. I was trying, just to kind of keep it together.
Yeah.
And when contractions got closer together, we were at like the 2-minute-ish mark. We headed into the hospital. I was about 7 a.m.
Okay.
So I was tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really tired and I was just hoping that I would have a baby really quick.
Yeah.
But I had other plans. So we ended up, I was so determined to do everything naturally
Mm-hmm.
that I would not let them break my water.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the things they said when I went in, they were like, you've done great. I think I was at 7 centimeters already.
Yeah, great.
Things were looking really good, like ready to move forward, but my water wasn't broken. And the nurse who checked me said, oh, it looks like you just have like a lot of fluid, like things are just kind of squishy in there.
Yeah.
And so couldn't put his head wasn't adding any pressure to help
Yeah.
my cervix open. And it was a long time. So
Dang.
yeah, so we were in the hospital and things were looking good. And then at about 8 centimeters, I just stalled out. And I was just sitting there for about 5 hours.
Oh my goodness.
at 8 centimeters. And I was so determined, I'm going to do this on my own. And I was doing okay.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It wasn't comfortable, but we were all right. And we had requested a room with a tub and a birthing ball and all of the things that we had practiced and talked about. And so I was trying all of these different things and walking and bouncing and in and out of the tub. And it was just, I was getting so exhausted. I was just so tired.
Well, especially like not having a good night's sleep before too.
Yeah, I hadn't had a good night's sleep. I don't think we'd eaten anything either because it's hard to eat when you're having contractions. And so it was kind of a long one, but I did have my husband there and he was a great support. And then my friend, Kaitlin, who I've known for several years, different Kaitlin,
not me,
was our birth photographer. And she was there as well. It was actually her first birth.
Oh my gosh, that's really special.
It was really special. And we've been close for several years. And so she was there as well. And she was a really great support. Now she's actually a doula tog. So she got her doula certification and she does all the things. So she was already an amazing support to me. And she had had a baby about 3 months before as well. So she was like, I've just been here. I know what you need. She went out and got sandwiches.
Okay, that's so nice.
Yeah, at one point. And then she was just there encouraging and taking pictures through all of it. So I was just getting so tired and so frustrated and like didn't know what to do, kind of. Yeah. I think I was just so afraid of letting the doctors break my water.
Right. Well, especially when it's your first, you're like, I don't know what to expect. I don't,
Yeah, I was like, I just don't want any intervention. I want everything to be all me.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I think it would have been a much better idea to let them break my water because then, could have helped.
Yeah.
But I kind of suffered through it. And like the moment my water broke was amazing. I was like, yes, I did it. It was just this feeling of relief of like, I wanted to do it myself. Yeah. And I did it myself. And then things were pretty quick. So this was about 2 p.m. And my water broke and we kind of got me back up on the bed and all set up. And it was about 40 minutes later.
Gosh, amazing.
Yeah. So we did it. It was good.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, but, it felt amazing. And he was a big baby.
I was going to ask how much he weighed.
Yeah, he was 9 pounds, 11 ounces.
Okay, that's a big buddy.
Almost 10 pounds. Yeah, when the doctor caught him, he was like, I think you have a 10-pound baby.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like,
and then was he long too?
Yeah, he was tall. He was 21 inches.
Okay.
So I think.
Yeah. I know. I always am like, all right.
But yeah, so he was big, he was long, he was just chunky.
Cute.
So cute right from the start. And just immediately was crying and kind of, what do you call it, like rooting, kind of trying to find some food and things went pretty well after that. I did have to get stitched up.
I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah, I had.
Well, especially with a big buddy.
A big baby. Yep. Yeah, he was big and I was a little frustrated by the nurses while I was pushing because they were very much like, nope, lay down, push in this way, trying to get me to like hold my breath. Yeah. And some of the things that were directly against what I had learned and practiced. Yeah. But when you're in that moment,
it's like,
Yeah. So I was like a little frustrated by that. And then honestly, one of the worst parts was getting stitched up.
Really?
I hated it. And it took him like a half hour because I don't even know how many stitches I had, but they said I had 3rd-degree tears. Ouch. He told me I tore like a starfish. He was like, you just tore like every direction.
You're like, awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the doctor was down there for a while stitching me up. Dang. And I was like, this is brutal. I just want to go rest and be with my baby. But once that was done, we got to head into the recovery room. The hospital I was at was really cute because as they wheeled new moms and babies, from delivery into recovery, they would play Rockabye Baby like over the speakers. And they were like, this is the lullaby that's for you. And so it was really fun because everyone could hear it and know, like there's a new baby going into recovery. So that was really special and cute. And then we were just in recovery.
Okay, amazing. Tell me a little bit. So from going home, tell me a little bit about like what your recovery was like from there.
Okay. The hardest part for me going home was just mentally.
Yeah.
We stayed in the hospital an extra day because I was so anxious
Yeah.
about being away from the
Oh,
nurses.
I remember
Yeah.
I was like, needed to go home, but like, I remember crying and being like, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Yes. Yeah, that's how it felt. So we spent extra time in the hospital. And then I remember walking into the house, and we had prepared a beautiful nursery. And I thought ahead of time, we were so prepared and we were ready to go. But I remember walking into the house, and I just sat down in the front room, and I looked around, and I started to cry. And I was like, I have nowhere to set down the baby. And I was just crying because I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't have like a little bouncer or a little bassinet or, and I felt like there was just this overwhelming feeling of like, I'm already not doing good enough. Like, I haven't prepared enough. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to put my baby down. And Jared was on Amazon within 30 seconds and ordered like a bassinet and a bouncer and all the things, because he was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
don't be stressed about it. But it really was so scary being like, okay, I had this amazing class that was like, it was like 10 weeks long or something, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
That was to prepare me for birth. And I felt pretty dang good going into birth of what I wanted and what I needed. And nobody gives you a class on what to do after you take your baby home.
That's actually so interesting that you say that, because like there's a gap there. There's a need for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't exist. There's not the education there. They throw a lot of information at you.
Sure. Yeah.
At the hospital, but it's overwhelming. It's not enough time.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
I knew my mom lives close by, but I knew I didn't want her to come stay in the house with me. We just don't have that kind of relationship. But I remember being so grateful for her in those first few days, because she would just come and kind of be that calming influence.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, okay, it's all right. And I don't have to hold my baby all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't have to have, everything exactly perfect all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was the hardest part of recovery for me. I think I probably also had some postpartum depression. Didn't realize it at the time. But there were some pretty hard days where I'd be holding that baby and thinking, I don't like this.
Yeah. And that's fair. And it's like, and that's one of the things like on the Playdate, and a lot of why we do that. Like, we talk about all the different stages and all the different things, the good, the, not as good, because I think people deserve to know, and not in a way that, scares you, but like, it's okay if you're not feeling that way, like that's depicted, that you see on all the TV shows, and like you can feel differently, and that's okay.
Yeah, I have definitely told people, kind of talked it out with my mom and other friends about how I don't feel like I'm a newborn mom.
Yeah.
Some people really thrive in that stage, and they really just love it, and they feel so fulfilled and so fed by just those baby snuggles.
Yeah.
And there were moments that were really nice like that. But overall, I was very happy when we kind of moved on, and each new stage has been a new challenge, but it's always been kind of nice to move into the next stage where kids get a little more independent and a little bit more personality. And it was fun.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't prep you for this question, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I always like to end these birth stories just by having moms like, tell me just a little bit about the mom that you hope to be.
Oh, that's such a good question.
It's a tough question.
That's a good question, though. And it's actually something that I've thought about, and I journal about that, and I write.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, I write like the mom I want to be, or the mom I mean to be. And it's been fascinating how it's changed over the years, because I feel like early on with it was, I want to be the mom that's put together. I want to be the mom that's, looks great all the time, or just is always on time and is never frazzled. And over the years, it has changed into I want to be a mom that is a safe place for my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be a mom who is calm, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to be calm. And that doesn't mean I'm always going to look calm.
Sure. Yeah.
Or that I'm always going to look put together. But I feel like that's one of the most important things for me as a mom, or maybe just as a mom in general, is that being that safe space for my kids
Yeah.
is like top priority, making sure that they know that they are allowed to be complete and vulnerable humans and that they're always going to be safe with me.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like my main mom goal now.
I love that. And I love that question because I just like hearing like the inner workings of each mom's brain, and like it's so beautiful. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your birth story, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.